Hello, everyone. Thank you for spending your Friday afternoon with us. Today is a very special edition of the Ang Docu Industry Talk as we discuss the exciting and sometimes complicated marriage of international co-productions. My name is Baby Ruth Villarama. I'm one of the festival directors of the Ang Docu, the home of Philippine documentaries. So we know the classic cliche that it takes a village. Well, for us, in our case in the Philippines, since funds or resources for producing independent documentary films are almost non-available, it takes the help of several countries to produce a global-ready documentary in the Philippines. So we're super lucky today to partner with two of our Asian neighbors who have been at the forefront in helping filmmakers in the region get their stories produced and distributed. We have TokyoDocs from Japan and In-Docs of Indonesia. They are here with us to share some opportunities as well as personal experiences that can hopefully guide us deeper into the rules of engagement in co-production. Just some basic house rules because we are all friends and family in this small community. This session is really for our participants and our filmmakers. We'd like to save a lot of time towards the end for you to ask questions, so we encourage you to do that. um, we've been thinking how to go about it. If you can see on your Zoom window, there's a reaction emoticon there. So if you want to ask questions later towards the end, just press the party popper, the tada, this one, so we can find you and acknowledge you. Or you can also put your questions on our chat group towards the side of this Zoom. Um, so yeah, I'd like to introduce you to our guest. Of course, we have with us today our very own Bryan Brazil, a filmmaker based in the Philippines and the director of the documentary film My Little Dancing Shoes. Um, and with him is Akiko Tabakotani, producer for Documentary Japan, the company that co-produced Bryan's film My Little Dancing Shoes. There you go. And we also have Mandy Marahimin, the amazing Mandy. She's currently the interim director of In-Docs and producer for the film A Man with 12 Wives, also co-produced with TokyoDocs. And finally, my co-moderator. He's actually the main moderator. I'm just introducing him. Mr. Ken-ichi Imamura of TokyoDocs and NHK Enterprise Japan. He is a pioneer in co-production in the region and a pillar in the industry. So thank you to all our guests for being with us. It's really a great honor for us here at the Ang Docu. Mr. Kenichi?
Hey, is it my turn?
Yes.
Thank you.
I just opened the floor for you.
Okay, thank you very much. The introduction is too much. Anyway, my name is Ken-ichi Imamura. I'm the executive producer of NHK Enterprises. NHK Enterprises is the affiliate company of NHK. I mean, it's under NHK. And I'm in charge of the production, co-production, pre-buy TV programs, including documentaries. And also I'm the advisor of TokyoDocs. TokyoDocs is the sole international event in Japan, which has the pitching session. It started 2011. This year, we'll hold the 10th edition in the beginning of November. So we are very busy for the preparation. Anyway, I'm a big fan of international documentary event like this because I can see many talented young filmmakers, producers, and also I can check many good projects. And I know many Filipino filmmakers through several events in Asia. I see many familiar names here, Monster, Tops, Alex, of course, I know Baby Ruth and Chuck and Joseph, and I see many names who I know. And the reason why I love this industry is that the if I work with your site, co-production, we can get the unique angles. Co-production project has the unique angles, unique access to the issue, to the people. And also you have the unique storytelling skill, which we don't have. So it's very good for our side. And also for your side, the most important part is budget. I know you see yen mark here, but it's okay. But at the same time, I believe there is more. I always try to offer you small advice for the co-production or production, and also knowledge about this industry. And I thought I also try to introduce the useful connection network for which can benefit your production like this. So I believe that the co-production have the merit for both sides. So the key event of to realize the co-production is the pitching session. We call it pitching session, pitching forum, or forum. So the most famous ones are held in Hot Docs, Toronto, ITFA, Amsterdam, Sunnyside in France. But recently, there are many good events in Asia. CCDF Taiwan, Doc Edge Calcutta, Doc Edge New Zealand, EIDF DMZ Doc in South Korea, Fresh Pitch GZ Doc in China. And we have Docs by the Sea in TokyoDocs. Docs by the Sea is very unique event because it's not only for Indonesian people, it's for the South Asian people. It's opened the door for many filmmakers. And also, TokyoDocs is not only for Japanese, it's open for Asian filmmakers. Today, we have I'd like to introduce several successful cases started from 2 events. So first, I'd like to introduce our Akiko first, and also Bryan. They will talk about the successful case of the dancing little shoes. Of course, from TokyoDocs, Baby Ruth directed Sunday Beauty Queen or Sunday Cinderella. Everyone in the Philippines knows it. It was famous, but also Dancing Little Shoes was a very successful case. So I like to pass the microphone to Akiko.
Thank you, Imamura-san, and hello, everybody. My name is Akiko, and thank you for having me today. It's an honor to be here. I'm one of the committee members of TokyoDocs, as well as I work as a producer for a production company, Documentary Japan. So today, I'd like to start my part by explaining to you a little bit about what Colors of Asia is. It is an international co-production project initiated by TokyoDocs. Projects are proposed by Asian filmmakers, documentary filmmakers, and they team up with Japanese producers who are familiar with the taste and preferences of Japanese broadcasters and audiences. For this year's TokyoDocs 2020, 8 teams have been matched, and they are currently preparing for their pitch, which will be held on November 3rd. The pitch will be a joint presentation of the project, followed by a Q&A session with interested parties. By interested parties, I mean that it includes producers from local broadcasters in Japan, experts in documentary, as well as some international decision makers from like Korea and Taiwan, just to name a few. And I like to share with you some photos that I've prepared. Oh, I need somebody to give me the right to share my screen. Maybe I can. Oh, wait, maybe I can. Oh, okay, great. Sorry. So this is, I think, from last year, but this is a Japanese producer, and they're pitching their project. They would also show their trailer, and this is the some of the experts and decision makers listening to your pitch. Okay. So, okay. This is me pitching in 2017. And I met Bryan, this is Bryan, who will talk to you later, through Colors of Asia in 2017. The theme for Colors of, the theme for Colors of Asia, we were pitching for Colors of Asia 2018, and the theme for that year was Children Seize the Future. And I remember very clearly that many of the other projects had very serious themes, like fighting for their rights and so on. But what I really liked about Bryan's proposal was that he had a very positive message. It was about underprivileged children in Cebu training to be dance sports athletes, which will help them get a better education and future. So before we met in Tokyo, we talked over Skype once so we could see each other and learn what we looked like, and then kept in touch through emails before we met in Tokyo. And because I was not familiar with the dance sports and what it meant for the children in Cebu, my main focus was to make sure people would be interested in the background of the children. And I remember we had to really talk about how to make the trailer strong enough, because I think the very first trailer they sent me was just showing children dancing. So it was more like a commercial film. So we needed to make some changes. And okay, so this is, no. Okay, so and also Bryan came to Tokyo with his producer, Antonio. This is Antonio. And we had a very successful pitch, and we won the best pitch, and also was selected as one of the 3 projects to be proposed to NHK. And this is, sorry, I can't show his face, but this is the chairman of TokyoDocs, Mr. Amagi. And we were presented with a trophy and award certificate. This is the award certificate. And this is Bryan looking very happy with his trophy and a certificate. Okay, I'm just gonna stop sharing for now. And so after TokyoDocs, I had to write a proposal to NHK, and when it was decided that we would produce a documentary with them for NHK, sorry, I flew to Cebu, and I visited the children with Bryan and Antonio, and it really helped me understand the situation better. And it was also great that I got to meet the children and their families. So, and I got to talk to them and learn how much it meant for them to become dance sports athletes. And after that, I think Bryan and his team started filming around April of 2018. And he would send me clips from time to time. And we would talk about who would make a great protagonist. And and what else to film and so on. And it was really important that they shoot scenes where they can, where we, like the Japanese audience, can understand the whole system of how they were recruiting these dance sport athletes. Also, how the other children who were already recruited would train to be good dancers. Because I really didn't want to have too many narratives explaining what they're doing or what's going on. I wanted to make sure that it would be shown through what's been filmed, through the scenes. Okay, and in October, okay, and I flew to Manila in September again, and we did the preview. I watched the documentary that they had edited. And because the NHK slot was only 49 minutes, that we had to discuss about what to change and stuff like that. And I think I stayed about a week or so and made sure that there weren't any misunderstanding or anything like that. And then in October, I had Bryan and Antonio fly into Tokyo so we could do the last minute editing together. And we delivered it to NHK. And during TokyoDocs, they came back to Tokyo again. And we had this opportunity to share experience with everybody through Colors of Asia panel discussion. And yes, and so we would get on the stage and this is another photo, sorry. This is from last year, but this is how last year and other years, we would get on the stage, and this is the teams from last year, 3 teams. And this is Mrs. Seiko Kato, who's in charge of Colors of Asia. And we have 2 moderators who are big fans of Colors of Asia's series. And they would ask us questions like, what difficult times did you have? Or what was the most interesting moment and stuff like that. So the Japanese producer would speak from his point of view. And he's a Vietnamese, but he's a Vietnamese director, but he would also give his experience. And that's how we share how difficult or wonderful their co-production was. Okay. And I would also like to add that Bryan had to make 2 versions, two versions of My Little Dancing Shoes, one for the 49-minute NHK version, and one a little bit longer. Sorry, I forgot the time, but a little bit longer version which we call international version. And this international version was chosen to be screened at EIDF, EBS International Documentary Festival in 2019. And EBS is an educational broadcaster in Korea. And we had several screenings, and one of them took place outside in a park in Seoul. And again, I like to share a photo of that. Here we had a really big screen out in the park. It started about, I think, 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It was summertime in Korea, so it was really nice and cool. And there were so many people who came to see the film. And it was really exciting that we got to watch it with everybody. And it was, when they were cheering for our protagonist, it was just really overwhelming and amazing. And just Bryan and I really had a good time being able to watch the documentary with everybody else. And also at the end of the festival, they had the awarding ceremony, and the documentary was chosen, awarded with by the NGO World Vision, chose our film, and we won the World Vision Special Award. And this is the photo that they took for us. He is the president of the World Vision. So it had been a very interesting experience for me. And I'm very lucky to have had worked with Bryan and his team, because they are really sincere and they're really talented. So I can't recall any difficult times that I had. Okay. And lastly, I just like to say that I'm not the only one doing co-productions, of course. And there are other production companies in Tokyo looking for opportunities to co-produce with Asian filmmakers. We will be able to collaborate and propose to broadcasters, not only NHK, but other commercial broadcasters as well. And if we have enough time, maybe I have the PR video shown? Okay.
Hi, I'm Makoto. Telecom Stuff is an independent television production based in Tokyo with over 35 years of experience in providing quality programming, including many award-winning productions to the world. We have produced a wide range of programs from history, education, and entertainment. Also, documentaries account for 25% of our output, with more than 20 productions each year, especially in the arts and culture, lifestyle, and human interest genres. In recent years, we've been focusing on the international market, and in 2017, we co-produced an international documentary with a team in Bangladesh about the first female surfer in their country, Nasima. We look forward to working with you to bring great work to the global market when the opportunity arises. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Akiko. Established in 1981, Documentary Japan is one of the first independent TV productions in Japan, producing not only TV documentaries, but feature films as well. Our area of specialty is human interest, sports, arts and culture, nature, and investigative documentaries. Our works have been recognized with many awards domestically and internationally. We have co-produced documentaries with France, the USA, and the Philippines. 2 documentaries I recently co-produced with the Philippines won an award at EIDF, a documentary film festival in South Korea in 2019, and at US International Film and Video Festival this year. We are also affiliated with a filming production with a highly qualified staff, enabling us to team up with expertise to perform the best at shooting. We are open to any opportunities and will work with any teams worldwide.
Hi, my name is Mitsuko Kobayashi. I'm a producer for TV Men Union, which turned 50 years old this year. We are the oldest independent TV production in Japan. We produce over 500 programs a year, including documentaries, TV dramas, and feature films. Our mission is to make an impact on society and increase its value through our video production. At TV Man Union, our unique directors and producers have won many national and international awards. We are currently interested in co-production with Asian documentary filmmakers. We have produced some contents with Malaysian, Chinese, and American filmmakers. Please contact us if you are interested in co-producing with us. Thanks for having me.
Hi everyone, I'm Mayu Hirano, a producer from Temzin. Temzin is a documentary film production company that was established 33 years ago in Tokyo. We have received many awards at both international and domestic film festivals. In recent years, I have been focusing on international co-production. I have experience with co-producing with CNEX from Taiwan, German and Canadian production company, etc. We often work with Asian filmmaker for the TV program series. The Asian Insight, which we had developed with NHK, is looking for a story of a current affair of political, economic, cultural and technological change within Asia. This is a story of Nepalese migrant worker who came to Japan. Psychological subtleties of a 9-year-old girl well captured by Nepalese director, and it was made into an amazing documentary. In this manner, we have produced numerous special programs with Asian filmmakers to be broadcast on NHK. The time for Asia-based content is now, and we love to advance into the world together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your time, and I'll pass on to Bryan.
Thank you very much, Akiko. Good afternoon, everyone. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Ako po si Bryan Brazil. But before anything else, I just want to briefly tell my story on how I started as a documentary filmmaker. So before anything else, I actually have more than 10 years of experience as a TV producer and director for a local TV station here in the Philippines. I usually produce host-driven documentaries for local TV programs. Okay, so how I started. So I vividly remember that it was in 2016 at the height of extrajudicial killings in the country. Some of my journalist friends and filmmaker friends asked me to join them or join them in filming their nightly routine covering war on drugs. And I decided to, oh, I'll join them. Using my small camera, I document the war on drugs in a span of 6 months. From there, I produced a short documentary, the title is In the Middle of the Night. So it was shown in Cinemalaya and Gawad CCP para sa pelikula at video. And it eventually won the best documentary on that year. And since then, I became more fascinated in documentary filmmaking. And I also discovered that I have a capability to tell stories. So I'm gonna share my PowerPoint. So regarding my TokyoDocs experience, so regarding TokyoDocs experience in 2017, I saw an advertisement or a call out from TokyoDocs Facebook page. They were looking for an inspiring stories about children. So that day, I remember the stories of kids in our hometown. I'm from Cebu. Actually, I grew up and studied in Cebu, and I can speak the language. I remember the story of impoverished kids in Cebu. These kids are really fascinated in ballroom dancing, and for me, their story is unique and worth telling. And it's kind of ironic to say that these poor or impoverished kids are really into a dance that is meant for rich or for the elite class of the society. And I felt that it is a story that is I need to pitch for the international co-production. So I consulted my friends who later on became my teammates for this project. So we finalized our story treatment and we submitted our application to TokyoDocs. And then TokyoDocs eventually replied and they said that they are interested in our project. And Akiko sent me an email that she told me that she's our partner producer for this project. So after how many days, we had a conversation through Skype and we discussed the story, the characters, as well as the timeline for this project. And then we created the pitch later. Maybe can you please now play the trailer, please?
Dako na ko kay akong kwaon kay dancer. Ma'am, kandila mo, tag-piso ro ma'am. Lima. At nag-ingat sa ko kay akong uncle na pag-impil og dance sport. Makalarga-larga ka sa lain lugar. Ang gibaligya kay kandila. Ang ako buhaton kay ihatag sa akong mama. Kaya para nasad may mapalit kog gas or sudan.
Butang ba?
Butang pa.
Igop sa ko sa bawli.
Pangandoy na ko kay kanang world champion sa dance sport. Para na po yung sunod nga generation nga kanang masunod na po sila namo.
Morning, Ramir.
Good morning, Sad. Terus ka muli.
Wala pa mga kwan pa. Mga 2 years pa ko diri.
Kung world champion kay kanang papa di na mo balik dito sa kuan. Dili na daw siya mo trabaho. Kay para dili na daw may layo. Papas ko naman ko.
Stop. Control, spiral. Lagi diri. Forward. Turn mo diri. Ganun na mo. Bam. Target. Boom. Stop.
Straight. Say straight. No. Hiwain na imong spine. Hiwain na imong line. See? It must be here. You're not aligning your neck here. You have to align with your neck. When you move ka diha. 5, 6, 7, and 1. And yes.
Kini ang masakit kay lisod kay buhaton. Kailangan straight, dili maghiwi. Kay kung maghiwi, maguba man imong frame.
In our participating countries and Britain, starting with Australia, Germany, Korea, Mongolia, Vietnam, and for the Philippine region,
Among target karong adlaw kay masud mi sa finals.
thank you, couple.
Thank you so much. I'll just present my PowerPoint. So I have 3 characters in the film, and each character has a motivation and goal in the film. And as a director, the internal motivation is really important for me. It is much more interesting for me. And like one of my characters, Trixie, she really wants to make this. She wants to practice hard so that she could have she could enable for the scholarship when she reach college, and she could help her father, and not just working in other side of the country, but rather working in the Philippines. So for me, internal motivation is really important. And the competition or winning in the competition is just an external force for my character. So that's why how I look the film and for my character. So I want to add as well that each of my characters represent the real background and journey of every Filipino kids, because children, as we all know, is one of the marginalized sectors in the country. So after we finalize our narrative, TokyoDocs invited us to present our film in front of panelists and decision makers from different parts of the globe. And that was also the moment we first met Akiko in person. So during pitching, we're allowed to present our story for 7 minutes and another 7 minutes for Q&A. So we had a chance to meet some other filmmakers from Asia as well, from Bhutan, China, and Bangladesh. We had a one-on-one meeting. This was the time we met the panel, or the decision makers. They gave feedbacks and comments in our film. And after 2 to 3 days, TokyoDocs awarded us the My Little Dancing Shoes as one of the best pitches for Colors of Asia. We get a monetary prize here, but we use it as a payment for expenses incurred in filming and editing the trailer. So after several months, Akiko sent an email that NHK will be supporting the project and they want to be shown on 2018. So Akiko went here, as what she said earlier. She went here and she met the kids, and we continued filming after that. And Akiko and my team gave updates and exchanged ideas through Viber. So I had more than 80 hours of footage and during filming. So this is I have my audio man, I had my shooter, a videographer, and an audio man. So one of my friends, this is one of my friends provided us this condo unit in Quezon City. He has actually a small editing house. We stayed there for 2 to 3 months. We dumped and converted and edited all the materials we have. And we sent the preview links to Akiko so she can track our progress. As you can see, there's so many Manila paper here. We don't have a detailed script. We only have a sequence guide, as you can see. So this worked for us, and this style gives me and my editor the liberty to rearrange or sequence anytime we want it, anytime or whenever we see a much more better scene. So this is my style. We don't have an actual script with time code. We don't have like that. And then when we're done with the rough cut, Akiko went back in Manila and we finalized the 52-minute version of the film. And then after that, oh, what's happening? And after that, we brought the 52-minute version, which is the international version of the film, in Tokyo, and we met Akiko's team. This is Yohei, the Japanese editor, and this is Mina, my co-director in the film, or the Japanese director. Actually, they were tasked to create a version that is suitable for Japanese audiences. So that's their goal in editing the 52-minute version. So I have my editor here. I decided to, with permission with Akiko, of course, I decided to bring my team as well in editing in Japan so that we can learn their style and learn the creative processes as well. And after that, the NHK broadcasted our film all over Japan, and we had a screening in TokyoDocs, and this is our screening in TokyoDocs, and I get to see some of my Colors of Asia batchmates. So one of the audience in Colors of Asia screening was Bunyang. He's actually the director of EIDF, I think. He watched our film in TokyoDocs and he invited us to bring the film in South Korea. So this is the time. This is the time. We had a screening in South Korea. They broadcasted the film on their TV channel, or I think that's EBS channel. I forgot the channel number. And they have a theatrical screening in Korea. And what Akiko said earlier, this is one of my favorites. Aside from the fact there were a lot of Koreans who watched the film, I really loved the idea and the vibe of watching the film at the park. So I really love this moment. And then AIDF awarded the film the World Vision Award. After that, we had a screening here in Cinemalaya. This is actually a one-time screening in Cinemalaya. And My Little Dancing Shoes was the opening film for the docu section. Okay, so right now we are not done yet. We are still filming the kids, and we've planned to finish the Philippine version because we're allowed to create the Philippine version. That's our own version. So maybe from 1 to 2 years from now. So the kids really want to represent our country someday in international competition, maybe like in Youth Olympics or Olympics, hoping that we're able to qualify to, to this kind of competition. So in the next version, you will see the physical transformation of our characters because we shot this like in 2018. So 3 years already had passed and they're already grown up. So the team helped and supported the family and the kids in so many ways, but we decided not to disclose that anymore. So hopefully we're looking forward for the Philippine version of the film. So, and I want to add that I'm really proud to say that this documentary is 90 to 95% in Bisaya or Cebuano, in Cebuano language, because I'm a Bisaya, I'm a Cebuano, and it really matters to me. So I decided to make it 90 95% in Cebuano. And to wrap it up, this journey helped us learn more, or appreciate the art of documentary filmmaking. It opened so many doors and opportunities for me and my team. And I will never forget the sleepless nights, the exchange of ideas, and the knowledge for a story that will resonate not just in the Philippines, but also in the world. And this created us a better version of ourselves and and a better version of being a good storyteller. And I think that's the importance or essence of international public. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian and Akiko, for sharing that inspiring collaboration. I have so many questions in my head right now, which I think are also the questions of some of our guests today. I'm very curious to know how your editorial independence, how you navigated that throughout the process of these international co-productions, as well as the budget, and also the contract and some copyright issues that you encounter in your co-production with Japan. Um, I think I was told that the question and answers will come out, will happen later at the panel. But yeah, just bear in mind that those are my initial questions that hopefully we can answer later. And I'd like to add also, because I think Akiko is being modest here, her Filipino documentary film, Jake and Cherise, has been nominated at this year's International Emmy Award. Uh, Congratulations. And it's really nice to hear that a Filipino documentary is slowly penetrating, different facets of these international networks. And again, we'd like to invite all our participants to post in their questions. And yeah, we'll continue with our next speaker. This speaker is someone I've known for some time. We worked together on Good Pitch in Indonesia. It's a project of In-Docs in cooperation with BritDoc, now called Doc Society. This is a pitching session to widen the impact of documentary films, and our collaboration in the region has taken different forms. So with Good Pitch, aside from inviting funders, they also invite influencers, policymakers, and NGOs who can help create the campaign, the impact campaign for your documentary film once you are ready in your rough cut stage or in post production. So it's another program that you might want to look at. It's being organized by In-Docs. Kenichi, would you like to introduce our next speaker? Because I believe you worked together with her film.
Yeah, I was pitched this project maybe 4 years ago, I think, and I thought it was very unique project. And I started conversation, and I decided to 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 submit the proposal for NHK, and the NHK gave me the approval. So I worked together. The title was 12 Wives, and the detail will be explained by Mandy. And we aired 20-minute per episode in Inside Lens, which I produced in NHK World TV. and the story was totally different from the story of the feature-length version, which Mandy is now editing. I think it's in the last stage of the post-production, but story is totally different. But as for the 28-minute episode, the copyright belongs to NHK, but the rights for all the materials belong to Mandy. So Mandy the team could continue to develop to produce the feature-length version. This is what we do. Maybe this concept is similar to Colors of Asia. Anyway, I will ask Mandy to explain more. Mandy?
Thank you so much, Ken-ichi. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Mandy Marahimin. I am currently the interim director of In-Docs, temporarily holding the fort during its transition of leadership. I am originally a film producer. I produce both fiction and documentary, both short and feature. My latest feature documentary was released in the cinema earlier this year and is currently on Netflix. It's called Islands of Faith. So if you want to catch it on Netflix, it's worldwide, so you can watch that. Well, today I'm going to talk in two parts. The first part, I'm going to talk about In-Docs and what it does. And then the second part, I will talk about my experience working with Ken-ichi and with NHK. So In-Docs is a non-profit organization with mission to build documentary films infrastructure, both in Indonesia and Southeast Asia. Through its programs, we want to strengthen the documentary ecosystem. Several of our programs are directed to Indonesia only, but we also have several programs directed towards Southeast Asian filmmakers. The ones that directed towards Southeast Asian filmmakers, one of them is Good Pitch Southeast Asia, which Baby Ruth has already mentioned. It was done in 2017. It was running again in 2019, but we made it only Good Pitch Indonesia. And then another program for Southeast Asian filmmakers is Docs by the Sea. Docs by the Sea is a mentoring workshop and also a pitching forum for Southeast Asian projects. And you will pitch in front of decision makers from all around the world. And afterwards, you can have one-on-one meetings with them to further explore the possibility of collaboration between the two of you. Another program for Southeast Asian projects is If Then. If Then focuses on short documentaries, working together with Tribeca Film Institute. But since Tribeca is no more, we are going to work together with Field of Vision. Both Docs by the Sea and If Then are held biannually. The last one were held this year online in 2020. So for next year, so for the next Docs by the Sea and If Then, we will have it in 2022. But in 2021, we will have another program targeted towards Southeast Asian projects called Docs by the Sea Incubator. Docs by the Sea Incubator is leaning more towards mentoring without a pitching forum. And submission will open early 2021. So please watch our social media accounts to know when the submission is open. Now, one of the earliest In-Docs program for Asian documentaries is called Dare to Dream. This one started in 2015, so 5 years ago. It's a collaboration with Steps International, an organization from South Africa. It gives mentoring for Asian film projects with international mentors, but it also gives grants for development. One of my film called 12 Wives were in this program, in Dare to Dream program, and through this program, I met Ken-ichi Imamura. Ken-ichi Imamura at that time was one of the mentors in Dare to Dream, and he was also commissioning and producing for Inside Lens, a program that showcases stories from outside of Japan. And he has taken some stories from Southeast Asia. So from the start, we are really, really looking forward if Ken-ichi Imamura would like to work with us, because I know there will be a lot of advantage if we can work with Ken-ichi Imamura for 12 Wives. When we develop it for Dare to Dream Asia, the film is about a young girl who recently got married to a guy whose father has 12 wives, 58 children, and 220 grandchildren and counting. So through this girl, we would like her experience to navigate our journey throughout the family, the big family, and how it works with 12 wives. The film is set in Sumba. Sumba is quite a remote island in the eastern part of Indonesia. I have the sky of Sumba here as my virtual background. It's a very lovely island, and the culture is very, very specific. Maybe I want to show you our earlier trailer first. It's titled 12 Wives.
Telah peragang luaya. Pagja kelenggu, tuta palgo, yaranana palgo, tapi kurang aramna, monojak kebumbadia. Murid Tuhan Yesus 12 orang laki-laki saya bilang. Jadi saya juga dalam keadaan terpaksa saya kawin 12 perempuan. Sengaja menggenapkan saja murid Tuhan Yesus. Epueng ganato. Epueng ron bajo dami. Enat bol ko pungu mon ete ika wang oji ko mutreng bakla tam nik dana.
Saya anak menantu dari bapak tua, anak sulung dari istri ke-12. Sekarang suaminya lagi di Malang untuk melanjutkan studi dia. Ada solar. Tidak ada. Solar.
Yoi nona baju biru suka macam rasa tara bisa lihat nona pun pesona. Baju biru I love you, baju biru saya suka kosa.
Ketemu dia tuh lewat Facebook. Mungkin dia tuh udah mau nikah kali ya. Terus sampai di sini tuh orangnya banyak banget di rumah. Pokoknya banyak loh. Sampai di sini aku cium sama mereka tuh pokoknya banyak. Bingung aku mana yang kakak, mana yang ini, yang adik, mana yang bapak, mana yang mama. Gak mungkin lah dia mirip bapaknya. Gak mungkin lah dia ambil 12 istri.
Kalau dia ambil beneran?
Gak mungkin. Jauhkan dia dari godaan-godaan iblis maupun perempuan lain. Ya Bapa dalam surga, saat ini hamba memohon, satukan hati dan pikiran kami, berikan kami kepercayaan agar kami saling percaya. Haleluya, haleluya, amin.
So that was our earlier trailer for 12 Wives, the one that we presented at Dare to Dream. As you see in the trailer, the film focuses on this character called Ma'a or Martha. She is the daughter-in-law of the man with 12 wives. When we pitched this story in Dare to Dream, then we met with Ken-ichi Imamura, and then we talked about the possibility of doing a short version. We talked about focusing it not on Ma'a, but on the father-in-law himself. So we will focus on the story of the man with 12 wives. That's why the NHK version title is A Man with 12 Wives. We accepted the offer right away because we know it's good for us. We know that by making the short version, we can use the license money to pay for the long version. This is what we have in mind. But through the production process, we find that what is more valuable than the money that we receive is the learning that we get from the process of making our short version. The production process took us several months. First, we went back and forth through email and through Skype, talking about the synopsis and the production timeline. We changed the synopsis several times, and finally we agree that we will focus on his downfall because he used to be a village chief for 32 years, and then he needs to stop being a village chief because he is old enough. And since he stopped, all his riches is going downhill. So we want to focus the story on that. After we agree on the synopsis, we started to shoot in Sumba, and then we first did some editing in Yogyakarta, that's another city in Indonesia. And to final edit, we went to Tokyo to edit with a Japanese editor and a Japanese producer. In Tokyo, we spent 2 weeks editing and going through many changes in the structure and story. So we would work for several days, and then Ken-ichi Imamura would come and review what we have done. And then he will give suggestions, and through his suggestions, we will make more changes to the story. We restructure the story several times using Post-its. I'm so sorry, I don't have the picture anymore. I don't know where I put them, but we put our sequences in Post-its, and then we rearrange them many times. During the process, we listened to inputs from Ken-ichi and our Japanese producer, and I have to say they are very valuable, because through that we learn more about the complexity of our story. Because Sumbanese culture, where the story is located, has a very complex culture and different from even from Indonesia. It's different. They have this combination between modern economy, but also with barter system. They still have barter system. For female to be married, they have to be bought with cattle stocks and so forth. So through this process, we learn how we could communicate the complexities of the culture to people outside of Indonesia. And this is very beneficial for our film in the future, because when we make a film, we make a lot of assumptions about what people already understand in the film, because you and your protagonist come from a similar culture, so you understand them better. But a lot of times this is not the case when you want to show the film to international audience. So having an outsider see your film will actually benefit you, because it enriches you and make you see what you didn't see before in the story. So through this process, we learn like which part of the cultural background that we need to focus on, which part that we should not touch because it will make the story muddled. So that's what we learn. This, in the end, really enrich our feature-length version of the film, which is a very different version than the short version, which is only 28 minutes. Our long version is 90 minutes, and we focus it on the relationship between Martha and her husband, how their love is being tested because her husband lived in another city, finishing his studies, and what will happen when he finally finish his studies. Oh, some more information. The husband is the only child out of 58 children who managed to go through with university education. The rest of them didn't manage to finish university education at all. So this husband's achievement is very, very meaningful for the family. So that's what we want to film. So maybe we can now watch our long version trailer titled My Big Sumba Family.
Saya anak menantu dari bapak tua, dari istri ke-12, adik, anak sulung. Ketemu dia tuh lewat Facebook. Dia takut, terus aku convert. Terus dia minta nomor HP ku. Sekarang suaminya lagi di Malang untuk melanjutkan studi dia.
Bapak itu inginkan supaya semua anaknya itu sukses. Kalau kalian nggak kuliah, nggak sekolah, ya nggak ada lagi nanti yang untuk gantikan posisi Bapak, kata Bapak.
Kalau bisa Bapak tolong doakan saya, Weng. Tidak, maksudnya kalau bisa Bapak doakan saya sebentar, Weng. Kan sedikit lagi sama maju ujian.
Ini polongo pekahin kunya iya polongo pekahin kun. Atau ini lek punya toy mon kuhmatin mu yang akbi walau mem dal tanah tanpa du.
Kemarin kan Bapak masih jabat jadi lurah, dipercaya bahwa oh dia ini lurah. Kalau sekarang kan nggak, kayaknya udah agak berkurang, Mas.
Sampai di sini tuh orangnya banyak banget di rumah. Bingung aku mana yang kakak, mana yang ini, yang adik, mana yang bapak, mana yang mama.
Istri yang pertama Maria Wondogura, Ripka Raborok, Lydia Tilaloga. Bukan ngedek bani hendek. Sudah berapa orang tadi, Pak? Baru tiga.
Kalau saya memutuskan hari ini bilang kamu lagi untuk ini punya istri yang kedua, yang ketiga, namanya rencana Tuhan sama rencana saya kan nggak sama. Ya kalau rencana Tuhan ya mau kemana lagi, Mas, kan saya juga nggak bisa nolak karena rencana Tuhan kan.
Jauhkan dia dari godaan-godaan iblis maupun perempuan lain. Ya Bapa dalam surga, saat ini hamba memohon, satukan hati dan pikiran kami, berikan kami kepercayaan agar kami saling percaya.
So, as you can see, the story has evolved. We now focus more on the couple, and actually in the journey of the story, right now we change again the story. Now we focus more on the family. So the title now is One Big Sumba Family. We focus on the family and how female is positioned in a Sumbanese family. The film has currently finished shooting and is currently in post-production with Rough Cut Services. Maybe we will finish it by 2021, early 2021. So I think that's it from me. I will always welcome if you have any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mandy. Just for everyone's information, Rough Cut Services is an international production group composed of award-winning editors from around the world. They are providing post-production consultancies to projects in, I guess, early stage of post-production to help them out. So they also attend various pitching conferences, especially at Docs by the Sea, to look for projects that they can support. So check them out also. I think there's a pressing question that I'd like to ask to Mandy before we move on to back to Tokyo Docs, because this is I guess a recurring challenges when you do international co-production. A question from Jainica Reyes: how do you manage the creative differences between the filmmaker and the producers, and who gets to have the final say? With your experience, Mandy, in producing 12 Wives, how did you manage that?
I think it depends on the purpose of the content in the end. Uh, for my Big Sumba family, because we know it's going to be an international film by the director, so the director has the final say actually. But for our products, let's say for NHK, because it is aligned towards the Japanese audience, so we really have to listen to feedbacks from our Japanese producers and editors. It's not to say that the director didn't have any say in it. Of course, the director still has a say in it, but maybe not as big as what he has in the feature-length version.
And how did you move from one story to the next in pitching the short version? Is this a new film? How different is 12 Wives from the My Big Sumba Family now?
It's a totally different film. 12 Wives focuses on the father, while My Big Sumba Family focuses on the recent generation of his son and his wife. So the story is completely different. We even don't have that many footage from A Man with 12 Wives that we use in the feature-length film. So we shoot another whole batch of footage for the feature-length.
Mhm. Thank you, Mandy, and thank you, Akiko and Brian, for those very personal sharing of your experiences. I'd like to echo again, Mandy's film is on Netflix. Let's check it out. What's the title, Mandy, of your film?
Islands of Faith.
Islands of Faith. So let's enjoy an Indonesian film. It's a documentary film, is it?
It's a documentary film.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I'd like to echo as well that there are a wealth of opportunities for co-production with other Asian countries, as mentioned by our co-speakers today. There's also Asian Pitch. It's a collaboration among networks from different countries like NHK, PTS in Taiwan, and Singapore. Also EIDF, as mentioned, TMZ, and Asian Doc Network in Korea. So please check them out to see if your story will find a good opportunity with them. I'd like to turn over to Kenichi to add some more information about Tokyo Docs.
Yes. Before that, I'd like to mention about the producers. I mean, the Mandy said that uh, uh, they have to be a little bit more generous to take the opinion of the producer. Yes, because the audience is different. Audience for the theater and TV is different. So maybe I have to think about the audience. So maybe I try to make a little bit. I make several creative input, but I didn't want to dominate the project at all. So always I have to give advice and listen to the opinion of the director. It's a co-production. But this is my style. So when you do the co-production, you have to choose the producers. Maybe I don't know, but there must be several producers who want to dominate the project. In this case, you should not choose him or her. But anyway, it's co-production. It's not a commission. Co-production is different. So I like to add several information about TokyoDocs. TokyoDocs is in the beginning of November, so of course the submission is closed. But next year, maybe in the spring, I can't tell you the exact time, but we start calling for the submission for the main pitch and colors by Asia and short documentary showcase. We have the three different the pitching session, and we will choose 4 or 5 projects from Asia for main pitch, and 8 to 10 projects for colors for Asia. So every year we have the theme for Color of Asia, but please check the website for TokyoDocs, and please prepare. You have 6 months to go, so please prepare to pitch to TokyoDocs again. So I'd like to move to another segment. It's a new project by Japan Foundation. The project called Dog Cross Asia. It's a very new project by Japan Foundation. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Yasutaka Takeda. He's the director of the Art, Culture, and Exchange section in Japan Foundation Asia Center. So Mr. Takeda, please explain about Dog Cross Asia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yasutaka Takeda of the Japan Foundation Asia Center. First of all, I'd like to thank Dan Doku and TokyoDocs to give us this precious opportunity to introduce our project to the filmmakers attending this webinar. Japan Foundation is Japan's public institution which carries out comprehensive international cultural exchange programs throughout the world. The Asia Center is part of it, which promotes and accelerates exchanges through culture and arts in Asia, especially Southeast Asian countries and Japan. The Asia Center was established in 2014 and has been working with various projects over the past 7 years. I am one of the 2 directors who are in charge of cultural and arts related projects. As some of you may know about the Japan Foundation, but I would like to explain about our institution. The main mission of the Japan Foundation as a whole is to introduce Japanese culture and arts to countries around the world in order for the people in each country to understand more about Japan and Japanese people. Our Asia Center, however, has a little different perspective. Our main mission is to make the Japanese people more aware of the culture of Southeast Asian countries, and also to create a new culture together with the people of those countries. Today, we would like to share the information of our new project entitled Dog Cross Asia with all of you. Dog Cross Asia is a collaborative project on documentaries between Southeast Asian countries and Japan. And the major theme of this project is multiculturalism in Japan. At present, a large number of foreigners is living in Japan. Especially recently, many of them have come to Japan from Southeast Asian countries for various purposes, such as study, work, and technical internship. On the other hand, many tourists visit Japan from Southeast Asian countries, and the number has increased drastically over the past 10 years. They not only visit big and famous cities like Tokyo and Kyoto, but also various regions of Japan for a special reason. But at the same time, it is also a question of how much we Japanese people know, or even try to know, about Southeast Asian people who are coming to Japan. More and more people from Asia are we at different cities where many foreigners gather and live. Also people living in regional areas. Sorry, the internet is not very Good. So I'd like to continue my presentation. Doc Cross Asia is a project that aims to depict the people from Southeast Asian countries living in Japan in various ways as documentary programs or films from the viewpoints of both Japan and Southeast Asia. In Japan, many documentaries have been produced in the past regarding foreigners who are based in Japan. However, Japanese filmmakers have had a tendency to depict these people mainly from the Japanese point of view, which is of course based on the common sense or values of Japanese people. This tendency may probably be applicable to everywhere else in the world, but this time in Doc Cross Asia, filmmakers from Japan and Southeast Asia will meet and work together deeply to make a documentary program or film on the same theme in an attempt to relativize this tendency consciously. I'd like to give you briefly the framework of the project. We have already contacted several regional broadcasters in Japan and so far received positive reactions from 4 of them to participate in this project. We have asked them to submit proposals featuring Southeast Asian people living in Japan on the theme of multiculturalism, and some of them are under refinement with the experienced staff of Doc Cross Asia team. Yeah, and Kusaka-san, would you please share the website of the Dr. Cross Asia, which is actually launched a few hours ago, a very, very new website. Okay, so let's continue. And filmmakers from Southeast Asian countries who are interested in this project, after listening to my presentation today or visiting the project website that you are now looking at, are welcome to register their name and email address, and then they will be invited to participate in online presentations by Japanese broadcasters in November. After the presentations, matching will be conducted between Japanese broadcasters and Southeast Asian filmmakers who are willing to join in this project. And both of them begin filming in each country after several meetings online. Each pair make 2 versions of documentaries. One is the international version, which is to be screened in film festival within Asia, and the other is what we call the Japan version, which will be aired in each broadcaster of Japan. Actually, we at first wanted to invite the Southeast Asian filmmakers to Japan to work with the Japanese broadcasters during filming, but it is very, very difficult for people to travel to and from Japan now due to COVID-19. Therefore, we have changed the strategy. Instead of filming physically together, they hold frequent meetings online, covering and filming in each country, and edit together online to complete the program as a single piece of work. Doc Cross Asia's experienced staff will be on hand to ensure a smooth production process. I think one of the most important elements of this project is to cross the points of view of Japanese and Southeast Asian side and understand the difference in a deeper level through experiencing the process of production to understand each other. Please do visit the website for more information by scanning the QR code here. And if you would like to know the detail of our project now, please feel free to ask 2 of the staff of Doc Cross Asia team, Kato Seiko-san and Kusaka Naoko-san. They would like to answer you. Thank you very much for taking your time to listen to my presentation. We are very much looking forward to hearing from you and working with you in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Takeda-san, for sharing that very, very new opportunity with our Asian filmmakers. And thank you for launching it here at the Ang Docu Industry Talk. I'm very excited to move on to question and answers because we're receiving a lot of questions now from WhatsApp, Viber, and our chat group. And I'd like to open the first question. I'll just read some questions here in the chat group, but if you feel to say something, comment, or give a feedback or share your experiences, please uh, click the popper and we'll call you on board. The first question here, and I think it's very, very valid, from Marisa Arroy. How is the audience in Asia for historical documentaries, and how fundable are they? Are there any historical documentaries in recent years that stand out as exceptional? Mr. Kenichi?
Yeah, we aired, in NHK, we aired several documentaries about Asian history, yes. But basically it is produced by Japanese production company. But I sometimes took several projects produced by Asian filmmakers. For example, I co-produced the project called Family in the Bubble. It's about the story about the filmmakers' parents. They were the factory workers, but when the economy in South Korea is going up, they started the real estate business, and it was very successful. So they become very rich. So when the filmmaker was very small kid, they are very rich. But in the end, they bankrupt. So it's about their family story, but together with the Korean history of economy and politics. So we see the Korean history, modern history, through the eyes of local filmmakers herself, and through the eye of the families. So I think it is very easy to watch. So there's two different documentaries. It's about documentary about the modern history, especially for example, the hidden story of the Marcos or Aquino, I don't know. Maybe we know much about, we know vaguely about the history of the Philippines, for example. And if you show the new findings or new archive footage, it can be good for NHK. But also, you have to think about the audience in Japan or audience in the world. So when you make a film, you have to already think about the audience. But the modern history is one of the good subject for Japan or to the world, in the world.
Mhm. Thank you for that sharing. And another question from Bianca Katibog. Can you share the process on how you consider your subject on your film documentaries and the story that you want to pursue? Maybe we can ask Bryan to answer this, and also Akiko to share. Are there stories that you look into before you select? Are there strands that you prefer from some of our filmmakers?
Right. For me, in finding character, I ask a lot of questions. I talk a lot with them, and there's so many kids like dance sport athletes in Cebu. But how can I find the right subject, right? So my style is I talk with them. Sometimes I immerse with them, so that I I have the full knowledge of their story. And for me, what I'm looking is the internal motivation, unique the internal motivation of the character that will represent he or she could represent the narrative, or the, that's what my style as a director.
Mhm.
Or on my side, when We look for projects. We usually, because we don't have much slots for documentaries in Japan, it's becoming less. So we need to start with what kind of slots are available. It will be mostly NHK for now. So we do try to find projects that will fit the slot, of course. But we do have some slots with a little bit of freedom. So then we try to look into what stories will be able to, that we could be tell through the protagonist. So it's kind of both ways. It's not just one side.
Right, yeah. And also, we'd like to engage some of our audience to asking the questions themselves. This one is pretty long, so I'm going to call him out to ask the question so he can also meet you guys. Bipul Jit, are you here? You have a very, very interesting question.
Hello, Baby Ruth.
Hi, yes.
Hi. Yeah. Actually, I like to know about the distribution mechanism of documentaries, especially DIY distribution and the conventional distribution that is essential part of any documentaries, because when you speak to the different producer and the financer who is going to produce the film, they finally they ask us about the distribution mechanism. So I like to know about the distribution mechanism of documentary in detail from the dignitaries present here.
Ken-ichi, would you like to respond to that? He's asking about the distribution of
Yeah,
documentaries.
it will take 30 minutes to explain about the documentary distribution mechanism, because NHK Enterprise, my company, is one of the biggest distribution company in Japan. We are selling NHK program, and also we are buying many hundreds program from the world to NHK. So it's complicated, the mechanism. But when I don't know, do it by DIY distribution, I don't understand the meaning. But when you made a film, you cannot sell it for yourself. No, it's impossible. So you have to find a good distributor. Yes. So there is many kinds of distribution company in the world. Some companies are good at distribution in the world generally. Some are very good at Europe, Japan. NHK Enterprise is one of the distribution company which has the very good access for Asian market. But mainly we are selling drama animation, not many documentaries. So first you have to find a good distribution company in the world. I don't know if you do have a good one in India, but I know several European distribution companies who are selling Indian documentaries. So to find a good distribution company, maybe you have to go to the market. So MIPCO, MIP TV in Cannes is the biggest one, but it's very expensive. So maybe you can go to the distribution. For example, when you go to Doc Edge Calcutta, you can see Taskovsky. He's one of the mentor, but Taskovsky is a very famous distribution company. So maybe the guy from the Taskovsky company can tell you the detail of the distribution company. So maybe you have to go to the market. You have to create a network and to search for the good companies. So so it's different from the title of maybe the documentary. So it's about if it's about history, human-driven story, culture, blah blah blah. So each documentary, each genre has a each distribution company has that appetite. So maybe it's very complicated the market. So anyway, you have to run one by one, I think. This can't, I can't answer in short. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the good things about joining international co-production meetings and pitching conferences, because as early as your pitching stage of your film, some of these distributors can also hear about your project, and they can monitor your progress to support your project. So that helps. Um, And I'd like to call on Direct Mike Alcazaren. He has a question that he wants to address. Direct Mike.
Hi, I'm sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly. Go ahead. You're on mute now. Yeah.
Oh, there.
There you go.
Oh, well, I just wanted to ask in relation to the historical dramas. I've been working, researching for almost a year about the Battle of Manila based on my father's stories. And I was wondering how receptive a Japanese audience would be, since I don't know if it is a taboo subject in Japan, but I've found that even here in the Philippines, the young ones really don't know much about what happened during that time. And based on my father's stories, I felt that it had to be told. So my question is, if there will be a co-production, and it might seem ironic with a Japanese company, how receptive do you think the Japanese audience would be to seeing unearthing stories like this? That's it.
Who can answer that? So the question is, how receptive are Japanese producers in supporting World War stories?
So I can answer briefly. So there is no taboo, or as for the documentary about, or TV programs or drama about the incident which happened in World War II time. Basically, we understand that we invaded Asia, but actually we can't say we invaded. But actually, in NHK we have many good documentary who depict the reality, truth, what happened in Manila. Yes, there is a very famous female director who produced several documentaries about the Philippines. And one of the documentary was about what happened during the battle between the Japan and the local, because at the time I think that Philippines was divided in two parts, I think, and also Japan was one side and the other side, blah blah blah. So it was complicated situation. So there was a good documentary, but it's through the eye of Japanese filmmaker. Okay, so if we want to make a documentary through the eye of Filipino filmmaker, yes, you can do it, but it's a little bit difficult for the co-production because it's very controversial. Even it was historical drama things, there is how to depict the documentary is totally different from which side you will depict. Of course, we don't say that Japan was right. No. But even so, it's very controversial thing. So maybe co-production is very, very difficult because we lost the word. Maybe you are the other side. So maybe making for example, Japan invaded Philippines. We are not allowed to comment like this.
I see.
So from the first sentence, maybe we have to make big discussion about this. So as for this, maybe it's a little bit difficult for co-production, but there is no taboo in NHK, no taboo in the audience. But co-production, it can be a little bit difficult.
Okay, that's pretty clear. Thank you very much.
And yeah, I'd also like to ask if there's anyone in the audience who have had their experience in doing co-production with Japan and other countries. Feel free to also share your personal experience so we can all learn from each other. I know Tops is here somewhere in the gallery. Maybe you'd like to share how was your co-production with Japan?
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hi Ken-ichi film. I miss Japan. It's a good co-production because it was a long process for our film, Bullet Lace Dreams, which was picked up by Ken-ichi. we also went to Tokyo Docs in 2018. We pitched the story in IFDEN first. Actually, we submitted it to Colors of Asia, but we got rejected the first time, and then we submitted it to IFDEN, and then from IFDEN we pitched it to Docs by the Sea, where Kenichi saw the trailer and the pitch, and he loved our story, and from there, it was I think a year because Kenichi had problems with another episode, and there were complications. But it was just last year when Kenichi finalized the pickup for our documentary. So it was very collaborative. Kenichi, we went to Doc's incubator for our rough cut, and when he saw the rough cut, he actually cried over our rough cut. And sorry, Kenichi, I said that, but he was touched by the story, and it was also the same process with Bryan, but with our film, it was a direct collaboration with Kenichi, and he guided us, and we understood that it was for the Japanese audience. So we really took everything, and they're very helpful in creating a storyline that is apt for the Japanese audience. Because from the get-go, from the very beginning, from the start, when we went to Tokyo, from the very start, what we did was we sort of created the timeline for our story, and Kenichi helped us in restructuring the NHK version, and differentiating it with our version. So it's the same thing with Mandy, wherein we have a different version for our cinematic version, and we have another version for NHK. So we actually had two different films with the same topic. So it was great for us because the collaboration also gave us a bigger platform on telling the story of our subject, Chrysaline. And because of the impact of that documentary was quite good in terms of how we were able to help the subjects. Our subject, she now has an educational plan because of the NHK collaboration, the co-production. So it was really a good experience. I forgot. When we went also to Tokyo Docs, to Colors of Asia, and pitched the documentary. We won Best Pitch, but we didn't get the production prize, the co-production from NHK. But it was Kenichi who really pushed for our story to be included in the Inside Lens program. So we're thankful for that to Kenichi, and also to Seiko Kato for because we edited the film, the NHK version in Seiko Kato's production house. So I was with Baby Ruth when we pitched the Bullet Lace Dreams, and they got the co-production prize. I think Baby Ruth, right? So with three other films. So it's quite normal that when you when you go to Tokyo Docs, you might win the best pitch, but it doesn't automatically give you the production prize. So we got a separate prize for the best pitch, which we used for the rough cut of our film. So it was a good collaboration, and once Kenichi knows how you work, once the Japanese producers know how you work, they would really seek you out for future projects, and they would recommend you also to festivals, which is a good thing for independent filmmakers, because we don't get that, because applying for festivals is very difficult. And when you get recommendations from experts like them, it would be like, it's not an automatic yes for festivals, but it's like a reco, a good reco on your film. So it was really, really a good experience, and you get to spend with us it's just 10 days, but it was a really, really good 10 days because we were able to narrow down the storyline based on how the Japanese audience would receive it. You really had to call me out, baby Ruth.
No, because I remember, yeah, I saw you pitch and you had a beautiful journey, and your film was successfully screened as well. So I thought, yeah, it's worth sharing your experience. And I know Allenberg here somewhere is also doing something because I also see him pitching a story, a documentary film. We met in Tribeca, and Alan, would you like to share about your journey about co-production, and if you have some questions?
Before Alan
Sure,
speaks,
sure.
yeah, I'd like to say that yeah, I forgot what I was about to say. I'll get back to you later.
No worries. Yeah. Alam?
Yes. Okay, so it's a little tough on our end. Or at least for me, because I as you know, I am not really a documentary filmmaker. A documentary producer. However, but I'm working on this one doc. And so parang this one doc actually made me try to learn and to gain as much experience as possible. We were not very successful, especially since I was working with the first-time filmmaker who working on his first doc. So almost everything we applied to, we didn't get in, and we only got through through the FDCP through canned docs, and I think that's the only time that the project really moved forward, and we found our sales agent and our Taiwanese co-producer there. But we're still raising the gap financing because we decided to re-edit the whole film, to rework on the post of the film, because when we tried to find a festival for it, for a good premiere for it, we're always shortlisted, but we never got in. So we felt that there's something in it for them to shortlist it, but then there's something that's still lacking. And I think by participating, and so when we participated in Candocs and we found our partners, and then our partners were the ones who's now helping us to reframe and to recut the film. So far, that's it. So I guess it was. I don't know if it's a positive thing or a negative thing. Probably because we weren't really able to get much help prior to our Candocs participation.
Mhm. And I'd like to throw in that question to some of our speakers, because it's not, at all a bed of rose for these opportunities. What if you keep getting rejected? You keep applying and you keep getting rejection letters in your co-production endeavors. What advice can you give some of our filmmakers who may be experiencing those rejections? Seiko, Kenichi.
Okay, I have one example. There is a film called My Dear, Don't Cross the River. It's a Korean film. And it was a very successful film. In the end, the audience was, I think, 4 million audience. It got 4 million audience. But I remember, I think I was pitched in the beginning, but no one joined, including me. All the decision makers around the world didn't join. But the filmmaker continued making it in the end by his own budget, and it got 4 million viewers. So it's very exceptional cases, but I think I can say that the decision makers are not Superman. So I believe that I have the eyes to choose the good ones. Actually not. So please believe yourself to continue the production, even though you won't be able to get the budget. In the end, you may be able to produce a good one. So it's you can't expect 4 million viewers. It's very excessive case. But even though the decision maker would say no, it's not interesting, but they may be wrong. So maybe please believe yourself to continue the production.
Gabriel, may I?
Yes, to. Yep,
Yeah,
of
because
course.
I saw Seiko-san's comment on the chat box, and that's what I was about to say. They're very NHK are they're very generous with their rights. The broadcast rights belongs to them, but the cinematic rights belongs to the filmmakers. So with that, we were able to make two versions from our film. So and we were very thankful of the support and of the guidance of NHK of Kenichi because he kept on telling us that you can have a full version, although we decided to stick with the short version, but he's very supportive of your film once NHK picks it up. So I'd like to emphasize what Seiko Kato commented, that the rights for the cinematic version, the rights to your cinematic version belongs to you as a filmmaker, and the broadcast version belongs to them.
Yeah, and even the broadcast version in your local country, it can belong to the filmmaker. Like the short version of Sunday Beauty Queen, which is Sunday Cinderella. I think we can broadcast it locally. That's ours, if I understood it right. Um, and I'd like to read a couple of questions, and then I'd like to call on Princess because she's very, very new to this. So we can also know about her. There's a basic question here from one of our festival directors. Would Japanese co-producers work directly with filmmakers, or is it more ideal to have a local producer? And at what stage of production should local producers or filmmakers approach Japanese producers or NHK? Basic but very valid questions. Seiko would like to hear from you, or Akiko.
Maybe Akiko, Akiko-san.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Would Japanese co-producers work directly with filmmakers, or is it more ideal to have a local producer?
Okay.
And at what stage of production should local producers or filmmakers approach Japanese producers or NHK?
Local producers, you mean like a Filipino producer? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I from my experience working with Bryan, I think it's important that he or she has their own producer because he will need to have somebody that he could discuss things with. But if not, well, maybe we can work it out somehow. So it's not a must thing to have a local producer, but I think it's better so you have somebody to back you up. Especially for co-productions, we need to understand each other, overcome the cultural differences and stuff like that. So it's better to have somebody that on your side, I think. And I think it's important that when to approach us. I don't know, maybe it's better to have some kind of a footage or some kind of a rough cut or a trailer, maybe something like a trailer, so that we will have a clear image and idea of what they're trying to make.
Yeah, and I think a solid pitch trailer would be okay, even if it's at the early stage of production. That's fine. And do you have any rough guesstimate of budget? Is there a standard budget that you provide as co-producers for a certain project? Like for example, a short version. Normally, you do produce like short version, 28-minute or 47-minute stories. What is the co-production budget that you usually provide?
It's hard to say actually, to give a actual number because it really varies from slot to slot, and so it's kind of hard to really give you a precise number of how much budget. But when I co-produced my little dancing shoes, my company did provide Brian's team the budget that they could work on, at least get started. And I think we paid them, like in 3 different times, like at the beginning of the shooting, in the middle of the shooting, and during editing, and at the last part we paid after delivery. Yeah. So that's kind of, sorry, it's hard to give a exact amount, because it was 49 minutes for when we co-produced, but I think now it's shorter, so I don't want to give them the wrong idea. Sorry.
So I mean, there is no rule. If a filmmaker has a story in mind and he has a working budget in mind, he can openly submit that, and you can work on it together. Is that the process?
I think so,
Okay.
yes. Maybe Imamura-san has something to
Yeah,
add.
because the NHK Enterprises is one of the production company, okay, and also Document Japan is same. So we cannot offer any kind of budget before Japanese broadcaster will give us the final approval. It's very hard to offer the development money from our side, because we are the equal partner. So we try our best to get the approval from NHK or other broadcasters. And we got the good news. Maybe we can share the budget, okay? But please don't expect to get the budget in the beginning. It's very hard.
I guess that just to share my personal experience, because somebody's messaging in private, can you share your budget experience with Sunday Cinderella? With the short version, I think we produce it for about $27,000, which for me is good enough for us to fly, I think three or four times to Hong Kong to make the short version. But with that short version, we were able to raise more funding to produce the longer version. And because of the friendly copyright setup with TokyoDocs, we were able to offer the rights to other co-producers in terms of the long version. So I guess you're right. It varies from project to project. Some may could go more, and also because of the pandemic, things would be different. And I'd like to also lead into that question: how has the pandemic affected international co-production and even production itself uh, among you guys and in the region? Akiko?
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I haven't been doing any co-production like Colors of Asia with with other production companies abroad, but we've been asking filming crews abroad to film for us, so we could get the scenes that we need. So that's the kind of film co-production, so-called co-production that we've been doing. So with other directors abroad, sorry, I don't have any experience for the time being.
Do you think co-production will change in the new normal?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because as long as we can't travel around like we used to, we will definitely need to work together to, keep producing good documentaries. So I think, and we've learned that, we can e-meet through Zoom and things like that. So I think it kind of made it easier for us to realize the co-production like this. So hopefully it will be a good thing for all of us, without the expense of traveling.
And okay, thank you so much. Princess, are you there? I think it's best that you ask your question to the speakers. Can you unmute yourself wherever you are? Hi, Princess.
Oh, sorry. So it's my first time to attend this session.
Can you talk louder so we can all hear you?
Ayan, here.
Perfect.
So I have a lot of friends who are aspiring filmmakers, and they do want, well, because I'm with Film Police Reviews, so the only market that I could do is write about it. But for your experiences as producers, is there like a duration or like an expiry date on how old a documentary was made? Because some of these folks, they've made documentaries since way back. And yeah, what were if you have made a documentary, like for example, Rustling of Leaves. Let's say it wasn't produced in 1988, but it was presented to you guys. How do you market it, and what challenges did you experience in marketing or distributing a documentary that old? And did you guys have to do like changes to the film and so on?
Okay. Mandy, would you like to respond to that question?
Yes. Hi, Princess. So, in my opinion, it depends on when the film was first screened. I have never had an experience with this kind of film before, but as far as I know, if the film hasn't been screened anywhere else, then it can still have a premiere status in the festival. But if it has been screened in a lot of places, then it will be considered an old film. Usually for festival round, it's only 1 year to 2 years in my experience. So after that, maybe you can go to broadcasters or to streaming platform. But after 5 years, then usually your film is hard to go anywhere with your film. But it really, for this case, if the film is made in 2002, for example, and will only be released today, then it can still be seen as having a premiere in 2020 if it hasn't been seen at all. That's in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right. I think yeah, we're going on for 2 hours now, and I'm being told to wrap things up. I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you very much to our guest, Bryan Brazil, Akiko, Tabakotani, I have to pronounce that right. Mandy Marahimin, Mr. Yasutaka Takeda of Japan Foundation. Thank you also to everyone who joined. Are there any last words or advice that you'd like to give to our participants before Kenichi speaks? Mandy,
No,
Bryan.
no, I have nothing.
Okay. All right. Kenichi, take it away.
Ah, I have nothing to say more. I think I can tell you what I wanted to tell, and also I explain what I did before. But as Akiko said, that the world is changing a lot, even for in the documentary industry. So please try to build a good network with overseas producers, and try to build a new network, and also and through the discussion between your team, maybe you will find another angle towards your project. So maybe it's very important for you or to budget-wise to build a network. Directories, broadcaster, yes, but it's more important to build the network between independent side, I think. So please utilize this kind of opportunity to build a new network between yourself and try to develop your project more. And we, the producer and broadcaster, always appreciate this kind of effort in your side. And I hope you can produce good documentaries so that I can take. So this is my last word, Baby Ruth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Ken-ichi, for making today happen. We've been discussing this for months already. And to be honest, originally we wanted this to be a physical get together last March, but because of the pandemic, this is the best thing we could do. But really, the hope for this session is for more Southeast Asian documentaries. To be shown out there to more households, not just in our home country, but in the region and hopefully the world. And I'd like to invite everyone to check out our recently released doc book, the official festival book of the Ang Docu. It contains full program of the festival. It has essays, stories, and histories of documentary making in the Philippines from television, film, and new media. So that's the copy. It's supposed to be a physical copy as well. But yeah, you can access it anytime at www.daangdocu.ph. And please visit all our social media pages to see our upcoming programs and upcoming talks. So yeah, thank you for joining us. And by tradition, because this is only our second private session, we want to ask everyone to describe this session today in one word. If you can comment here in the chat, if you can describe and give your feedback about this session, if it helped you, can you just put your review about this session in one word? I'll count to 5. Oh, they're now posting it. Yeah, and please, yeah, we really appreciate your feedback and your support. Hopefully, through the community, we can grow the documentary network bigger and bigger. So, thanks again for joining us. I'm Baby Ruth Villarama. Keep streaming on the Ang Docu, the home of Philippine documentaries. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.